You ever have one of those days, you're running around like crazy, your to-do list is a mile long, and at the end of it all, you look back and think, what did I actually do today that mattered? Well, if that sounds familiar, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving into a legendary book that tackles that exact feeling, Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And trust me, this isn't just about getting more stuff done. It's way deeper. It's about changing how you see the world so you can fundamentally change what you do in it.
So let's just start right there with that big question. In this world of, nonstop pings and overflowing inboxes, are you actually being effective or are you just busy? It's such a critical difference, right? And that distinction is the exact problem Stephen Covey wanted to solve.
And here's the kicker. The answer comes from a book written way back in 1989. Now, you might be thinking, 1989? What could that possibly have to do with my life today? Well, that's the whole point. The reason this book has sold millions and millions of copies is because it's not about trendy life hacks that are popular one day and gone the next. Nope, it's built on these timeless, universal principles that lead to real, deep-down personal change.
Okay, so Covey's whole philosophy can be summed up in 2 words, inside out. What does that even mean? Well, think about it. Most of the time when we want to fix a problem, we change our tactics, right? We look for a new technique. That's an outside-in approach. Covey says, nope, start with you. True lasting change has to begin from the inside, with your character, your motives, and the very lens through which you see the world.
And to explain this, Covey makes this really fascinating distinction. He says that for about 50 years before he wrote his book, all the success literature was focused on what he called the personality ethic. Stuff like your public image, quick communication tricks, how to have a positive attitude. It's all the surface level stuff. But he argues that true lasting success, that's built on the character ethic. We're talking about the deep stuff, integrity, humility, courage, justice, the real foundation.
And honestly, the iceberg analogy he uses is just perfect. The personality ethic, that's the tip of the iceberg. It's the part everyone sees. But what's holding it all up? What gives it stability? That's the huge mass below the water, the character ethic. That's the real substance. And here's the thing, you can't fake character. Not for long anyway.
Okay, another huge idea in the book is this thing Covey calls the P/PC balance. It comes from that old fable about the goose that laid the golden eggs. It's pretty simple, actually. P stands for production. That's the golden eggs, the results you want. PC is for production capability. That's the goose itself, the asset that actually produces the results. See, true effectiveness is all about balancing both. Let's make it real. You can cram all night for an exam and get an A. That's production. But if you destroy your health and burn yourself out doing it, you're wrecking your ability to learn in the future. You're damaging your production capability. In other words, you're killing the goose.
So all these habits, they aren't just a random list. Covey lays them out on a path he calls the maturity continuum. It's basically a journey in 3 stages. We all start out in dependence, right? As kids, we rely on others for everything. Then we grow into independence, where we can take care of ourselves, and we're proud of it. But, and this is key, Covey says the highest level of maturity is actually interdependence. That's when you realize that we can accomplish so much more than I ever could alone.
All right, the first 3 habits. These are what Covey calls the private victory. This is all about mastering yourself. It's that journey from being dependent to being independent. And as Covey puts it, you just can't be successful with other people if you haven't first paid the price of success with yourself. You got to get your own house in order first.
So, habit 1. This is the absolute foundation for everything else. Be proactive. Now, what does that really mean? It means understanding that between something happening to you, the stimulus, and how you react to it, your response, there's a little gap, a space. And in that space lies your freedom to choose how you respond. It's a game-changing idea. It means you are responsible for your life. Your behavior isn't about your conditions, it's about your decisions. And here's how you put that into practice. Imagine 2 circles. Proactive people focus their energy on their circle of influence. These are the things they can actually do something about: their attitude, their skills, their work ethic. Reactive people, they waste all their energy in their circle of concern. These are things they can't control, like the news, the economy, or what other people think. It's all about focusing your energy where it actually makes a difference. Okay, so if habit 1 says you're the programmer of your life, then habit 2, begin with the end in mind, is all about writing the program. It's pretty simple, really. You have to know your destination before you start the trip. And Covey has this famous, kind of intense exercise. Imagine your own funeral. What would you want people to say about you? That ultimate vision, that becomes your personal mission statement, the compass you use to guide every decision you make.
And that leads us straight into habit 3,
Put first things first. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's the habit of disciplined action. It takes the vision from habit 2 and the proactivity from habit 1 and makes it real. And here's the key. It's not about time management, it's about self-management. It's about having the discipline to prioritize what's actually important, not just what feels urgent. It's choosing your compass over the clock.
To help with this, Covey uses the awesome Eisenhower matrix. Basically, you sort everything you do into 4 boxes based on whether it's urgent and whether it's important. Now, most people live in quadrant 1, urgent and important crises. But Covey says the secret to an effective life is living in quadrant 2. That's the stuff that's important but not urgent. Things like planning, building relationships, exercising, the stuff that prevents crises from happening in the first place.
Okay, so once you've really started to master yourself, once you've achieved that private victory, now you're ready for the public victory. This is that shift we talked about, from independence to true interdependence. These next habits are all about how we work and live with other people.
And habits 4, 5, and 6 are all about moving from me to we. Habit 4 is think win-win. It's a mindset that says life isn't a competition, there's enough for everybody. It's about looking for solutions where everyone benefits. That flows right into habit 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. Basically, listen. Really, truly listen to the other person before you even think about getting your own point across. Diagnose before you prescribe. And then there's habit 6, synergize. This is the magic of creative teamwork, where 1 + 1 = 3 or 10 or 100. It's when the whole is way greater than the sum of its parts.
And his quote just nails the whole inside-out philosophy. You can't build trust. You can't create win-win situations. You can't synergize with other people if you haven't mastered yourself first. It just doesn't work. If you aren't proactive, mission-driven, and disciplined on your own, you can't build effective relationships. The private victory has to come before the public one, every single time.
All right, we've covered 6 habits, but there's one more, and honestly, it's the one that makes all the others possible. Think of it like the maintenance plan, the thing that keeps the whole engine running smoothly. This is the habit of renewal.
And it's habit 7, sharpen the saw. The idea is simple. Imagine someone sawing down a tree for hours, getting more and more exhausted and less effective. You tell them, hey, why don't you take a break and sharpen the saw? And they say, I can't, I'm too busy sawing. Sounds ridiculous, right? But we do it all the time. This habit is all about taking the time to invest in your greatest asset, which is you.
Covey breaks this down into 4 key areas, and you really need all 4. You've got to sharpen your physical self, exercise, nutrition, sleep, your mental self, reading, learning, planning, your spiritual self, and that could be meditation, nature, or just connecting with your deepest values, and finally, your social and emotional self, which is all about nurturing your relationships. It's a complete, holistic approach to keeping yourself in top shape.
And this whole thing, it isn't a one-and-done deal. Covey calls it an upward spiral. With every turn, you learn, you commit, and you do. And you integrate these habits on a deeper and deeper level. It's a blueprint for constant growth and improvement, again and again for your entire life.
So, let's step back for a second. Why does a book from the 80s still matter so much? I mean, really, why are we still talking about it? Well, the answer is all in its legacy.
I mean, think about it. We're talking about more than 20 million copies sold. This isn't some niche book. It's been adopted by everyone from top CEOs to presidents. These ideas haven't just sold a ton of copies. They become part of our language for a very simple reason. They actually work.
Now, of course, no book is perfect. While almost everyone agrees the principles themselves are timeless, some people do find the writing style a little dense, maybe full of business jargon. And that's a fair point. But even with that, the raw power of the ideas themselves has absolutely stood the test of time.
And that brings us to the end. So I want to leave you with a question to think about. Just look at those first 3 habits, the private victory, being proactive, beginning with the end in mind, and putting first things first. Which one of those, if you really truly focused on it, starting today, would create the biggest positive breakthrough in your life right now? Something to think about.